I know normally there'd be an if it's anything fundamental, there'd be an announcement, there'd be something, I'll be ready for it. But I'm like, is it one of those whales? Is it, you know, is it manipulation again? What is going on here? Wow. So we saw Bitcoin explode today. On, I have to say, on Bitfinex, it went as high as over, I think I saw it go to 7,700 or 7,800. Sorry about this, I'm getting notifications. So yeah, but it didn't reflect on other exchanges. So this was thought to be due to the sell-off of the of Tether, and it is for those that may not be aware, it is a crypto that this is not, by the way, it's not officially verified, but the makers claim to have the one Tether linked and pegged to $1 on basically on a 1-to-1 ratio. So the key here, usually Tether is used by traders to buy and sell other cryptos to move their funds. So for example, when you go to CoinMarketCap and you see a sea of, let's say we're having a bad day, you see a sea of red, but then you see Tether in green, that's because the market has moved their money to Tether, as it's considered a stable coin. So wow, so we know if you've been watching, if you've been following the drama and rumors and craziness surrounding Tether and also Bitfinex, it's just that those what can I say? It's not even concerns. It's more like there's warning bells now, and this sort of kind of strikes certain investors as a cause for alarm. So there has been history, which I'll get into a bit, but this follows on. This has been a really strange week because, as I mentioned before, we saw the sell-off in the traditional market, followed by the crypto market as well. But there was a recovery on both markets. So for us to see this development, and Bitfinex got hit by several bad news. So it's just like the market is really wary of potential scams and potential issues with any coins or projects. So they're always on the lookout and trying to anticipate what could be avoided if there's going to be a massive sell-off, or if there's going to be a crash, or if there's going to be anything that would be considered that would initiate a negative sentiment in the market. These moves will be anticipated and made pretty early on before the rest of the market catches up. So yeah, we saw it rise by more than $1,500 on Bitfinex in just the space of a few hours, and so I was just like, I was completely shocked because I'm just trying to figure out. I literally was on the online. I was trying to figure out, okay, where's my breaking news, my alerts, and then it slowly came in. But yeah, I just thought, okay, there has to be something going on. So yeah, it was basically, I think it was something over 20 between 22 and 24% rise in value. And yeah, I did compare that with the other exchanges. I looked at Coinbase, it was lower. Didn't get to the 7,800, which we saw with Bitfinex. So yeah, it was interesting, I have to say. Nice way to start the day, right? So the reason for that, mostly from what I understand, is that investors have been moving from their funds from Tether back into Bitcoin and other cryptos because of these doubts and worries that they have whether Tether is actually backed by these dollars, by real money. And so, and especially with how Bitfinex works, you have to, if you're going to be trading Ethereum, Bitcoin, and Tether, you're going to be having to move from one to the other. So the fact that Tether, though, so you know, it does account for some almost, let me see, over 96% of the total daily trading volume for all stable coins. So it does have a monopoly on stable coins, but it would be interesting to see with this particular situation how it would develop, because once a seed of doubt, a seed of negativity, or anything where, especially in this volatile space, rumors fly about, and they don't wait, you know. Also that expression, buy the rumor, sell the news, and it's just extremely finicky right now, especially for stable coins that have to be, in my opinion, fully audited, fully verified, fully backed, and it's so important in this space to give transparency and give the market confidence, and drive positive sentiments, because it's not just for the coin or the project, it's for the whole space. It does good for the entire community. So that's why when, you know, there's one bad apple, and you know that expression, we have a few bad apples in any basket or any market, those, you know, that it doesn't paint the picture for everything. You know, when you tar, you know, they say don't tar it with tar the same thing with the same brush, right? So this is really important, though, because this has been going on since last year. These allegations and rumors following Bitfinex and Tether. And what was strange about this as well is that other stable coins actually they were up. So they did benefit a bit from this. So Paxos and True USD, they were up over 5%. So even Gemini, by the way, they have their own stable coin. It was up by 3%. So, you know, the fact that they're moving and they're liquidating their holdings, and initially it's a protective move, so moving their capital to the large cryptos, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and so on. They did get a bit of a bounce from this. So, and there is competition within the stable coins, which I think is brilliant. And I do feel that decentralized stable coins are the way, because if you do have a situation where a centralized stable coin, they do have the power, they do have the ability to freeze coins, to make certain things their coin non-transferable at a particular point. They could use a hacking, a breach of security as an excuse to do that, or they could say it's regulations. But if your money is stuck in in that coin and there's no way to withdraw it or convert it to something else, then you're in trouble. So this is why it's important to obviously do your due diligence in not just with the stable coins, with any project, but in particular measuring and comparing centralized and decentralized projects and exchanges, and centralized and decentralized stable coins. I do feel there's pros and cons, but I do think that overall and long term, we will see the demand for transparency, the demand for security and privacy as well, that is going to be demanded by investors and holders and so on. So, you know, it's fascinating to see how this develops, and that's why I do, in my opinion, I wouldn't necessarily put a big chunk of my capital, even if whether I'm trading or holding or trying to avoid when the market is in a downturn. You know, it's so important not to put your eggs in one basket, as the saying goes. So if you had placed all your holdings in Tether and they freeze it, or something goes wrong, if these doubts or allegations come to light, then that's it. What protection do you have? So it's really important, obviously, whatever you trade, whatever you use, whatever you exchange, just always move with a mentality and an approach that your risk is completely covered no matter what. So if God forbid something happens with Tether or any other stable coins, regardless of their promises or guarantees, that you know that's money that you can afford to lose. So that's really important to point out. But I do foresee decentralized stable coins becoming more popular as time goes on. And I do see some centralized stable coins having a role. For example, with Gemini, it is regulated, and it had to. It was mandatory for them in order to have the New York regulators on board with them and verify that. Obviously that actually helps with given some sort of authority or gravitas and credibility. However, I personally don't like the fact that the number one, Gemini with their stable coin can at any time freeze it. I mean, they didn't lie about it. They were very clear in the white paper, very forthright and transparent that there is a mechanism to do that, and that it could be non-transferable. But again, it's very in extreme circumstances. And also the US authorities would be tracking the movements and the monitoring the activities using that stable coin, because they are on the lookout for any fraudulent transactions, anything that helps with criminals, you know, whether it's money laundering or they say financing terrorism. Right, from what I've studied, what I've seen, cryptos are not being used on a large scale to finance terrorism. So that is I think that's so it's a form of FUD at the moment, because it's not bearing up with the facts and the numbers. But with money laundering, yes, to a certain extent, the cryptos are being used for that. But again, that number for criminal activities, the amount being used, the criminals using cryptos, that percentage has actually been reducing, because it's not fully anonymous. So there'd be, you know, if you, I'm trying not to swear, but they'd be really, really dumb to think of using cryptos to be able to fund the criminal enterprise. Fiat, on the other hand, is far more reliable and less transparent for them. So there's still a large degree of these criminal activities are being used still with fiat. So yeah, so therefore with the stable coins, I do think that what we will see as many projects, even top 10, top 100 and so on, there will be new stable coins that come out and provide some of the issues that we have in this space. They will come in, whether they use US dollar, whether they use gold or other commodities, or it could be anything. But as long as it's verifiable, auditable, it can be audited, and this somehow provides some sort of confidence to the market, their value will come from that. It will be like a vote of confidence, and they will be voting with their cryptos essentially. So I do foresee more competition in the space. So with this development, it's not really new to me. I have been following the story since last year, so I'm just very wary at the moment of any centralized stable coins in particular. So I'm keeping what do you call it, keeping my distance away. And if I have to use Tether, I'd only put a small percentage of any of my capital or allocations for trade into that. So yeah, not financial advice, but whatever you feel is right for you, just make sure you do your due diligence around Tether and other stable coins when you're trading, and you'll be fine, God willing. So yeah, this all within like a space of a week. Like you've been waiting for action, and we've been waiting for some major movements. It started to get a bit boring. It started like watching paint dry. But suddenly everything's going left, right, center. We're trying to pay attention to it all coming out all at once. So this is it's better that we know this now rather than have this come at a time where let's say that the market had reversed, there's a bull run, and at that point some stable coin or some project imploded or some issue happened. I feel like whatever problems need to come out, whatever mistakes are done, is best to do it when in my opinion, when things are in my opinion, in a bear market, when and you also see these projects being developed and worked on, and actually a large percentage of them will disappear. And I do feel that this is the perfect time. If there's any bad news to come out, it better be now, not when you're like $15,000 per Bitcoin, not at that level where, it would be, in my opinion, would be worse. So yeah, I do think that the fact that Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, that all these coins, they will eventually, with the advent of stable coins, I think, especially if they're decentralized, it will help. And it would, I think, especially with institutional investors coming into the space, will there be a level of manipulation, price manipulation? I think so. But it does give us, again, I'm seeing this trend with the decentralization of everything in the space. So I do feel that there will be a correlation with that in the future. So yeah, it's been interesting, especially with the correlation with the equity markets as well. And that's the thing I'm worried about is, if people put too much stock on thinking that, okay, so when the fiat, when I'm saying the traditional markets, the legacy markets, if they are having let's say, of course, we're expecting a recession at some point. Experts are saying that, economists are saying that. So the next recession where we will see, I feel we will see an interest in this space. But if we do see incidents where even Bitcoin or Ripple or Ethereum, like any of the top 5 or 10, take a knock because of the because of what's happening in the traditional space, my feeling is that, okay, I can see how it depends who has invested in the market. Because if it was institutional investors that whoever's liquidating their positions, if it is institutional investors leaving the crypto space, whether it's temporary or permanent, if they are leaving the space and withdrawing their capital, as well as the traditional markets, if they're coming out of the space, I think in a way that's good. And I do think, though, however, with the way the developments are occurring, they are the ones that really do have the power to decide which way they want to go, how low the price will go, and when that turnaround will happen. But I do feel like the more the space is for me and you, for the typical retail investor, and that it has people with good intentions, and there's stability, because some of the reports say that whales are not as bad as you think they are, and coming into the space, they will provide stability. But I really do question their motives. and their power in influence in this space, because as this space gets bigger, and concerns about their habits and practices come into the space, I'm not too keen on their increased involvement in a way. I mean, for the whether that will help the price and the adoption rate and so on, it could do. It may be a good thing short term, but long term, I would prefer the space to grow organically. This is my personal opinion. I would prefer as many stakeholders, as many people from all backgrounds, all countries, all levels, all walks of life, rich, poor, regardless of what their titles in society may be. I would prefer everyone to get an opportunity, a shot at building some sort of advantage, some sort of wealth, some sort of advancement and education in this space. So that for me is what I think it's important, like to make this as fair as possible, as equitable as possible, to drive education, because regardless of what happens, up, down, left, right, doesn't matter, as long as people are starting to wake up and are aware of their power, of their options, and defining value between one another, that's more important. And so the more they understand and understand the space, and we work and collaborate together, again, that the major benefit of certain projects becoming decentralized is essentially decentralization of power, and an opportunity for people to be able to take advantage of the positive developments in this space and the solutions that are brought forward to some of our most pressing problems, from country to country, community to community, individual to individual. That's something that I believe with this space, especially with blockchain, that is something that will be evident over time. So yeah, it's it's been a crazy few days with Tether, and there, I do think, though, I know we've had a bit of a rough ride this year, but I feel that there is a chance by the end of this year we may stage a slight recovery, that I'm not going to quote any prices or anything like that, but I do feel that there has been certain developments which has been built in, and it'd be interesting to see, put ETFs aside, put BACT aside, that I think the space is ready to have a change at some point, but it has to be organic. It has to literally be something that how can I put it? It has to, we do know that there'll be some sort of price manipulation, but the increase, that there was low volumes when Bitcoin was consolidating, but then we saw a surge in volume, with people wanting to take advantage of when the just today, for example, with the price with Tether going as low as 0.93, 0.94, they saw an opportunity there. So you then saw like a bit of a surge in volume on some of the exchanges to take advantage of the difference, and the rise in the the cryptos rising as well. They jumped on board. So, but this is something which, especially with the last week, the cryptos, they lost something between 5 to 13%, but they have recovered, as I said, and stock markets are recovering now around the world. And I think that for Tether, there was something else as well. There was something else, but I'll get to it, because they did have a unverified audit of their of the coin, but again, we still need everything to be clear and transparent. I don't understand why they're withholding certain information, and the CEO of Bitfinex and Tether, this is something that has been going for far too long. So it's now bearing out in the market. And if you keep feeding that fear, it's only going to get worse. So it would make a lot of sense if they can just get independent verifiers, not the ones they choose, linked into or have any connection with their bank or their exchange, or Tether. It'd be best to get someone completely impartial, completely independent, and verify whether they really do have. Sorry, I'm getting notifications. Whether they really do have $1, one Tether, 1-to-1 ratio, once and for all. Otherwise, the market will continue to have these doubts, and we will see issues develop further on. So it's interesting. So you also saw the AltDex as well, the AltDex 100 it did drive the AltDex 100 index as well. So that measures, it follows and tracks larger crypto as well. And that was something that was up over 4% as well. So yeah, there was also fake news in regards to Tether, about delisting happening as well. Even with Binance had to come up and say that there was, they think that there was too much FUD as well, and it's not how they would normally post. If there was going to be a delisting or something like that, they certainly wouldn't have done that. So yeah, and also with the deposits, with Bitfinex pausing those deposits as well, that then stoked fears as well. It really didn't help their case. I know that they partnered up with HSBC, but again, that it's just been like a bad thing following them one after the other. Yeah, it's been a bit of a crazy ride for Tether and Bitfinex. And also the what was I going to say? There was something else as well, which I'm going to. So the rumor stated that the Tether was a scam, and that it was going to be delisted on the. It was going to be delisted tomorrow, 16th of October. But the community did call them out on that, and they did say it was fake news, and Binance wouldn't report it like that. So, that's a problem. Again, you have to take this with a pinch of salt and make sure you have verified information. And I definitely feel like people are losing trust in Tether, and it's evident in the price fall as well. Then yeah, there was another thing as well with Bitfinex. There was something else actually. I will get back to that. But what do you think so far, Aking?
I think that it could have been a calculated, coordinated move to kind of short squeeze the market, get some longs out of position or some shorts out of position. So that's what I think. I think there's been a long history of Bitfinex and Tether back and forth. So I'm not sure. It seems awfully convenient and timely. The market was getting ready to go into a strong sell, and it spiked in the opposite direction. So a lot of people are wondering, what does this mean? Does this mean we're about to be long-term bullish again? Does this mean we're out of the bear market? And as of right now, my position is that nothing has changed. The only way that something changes, in my view, is that if we close daily above $7,500, then the market is bullish. But anything below $7,500 is essentially a short squeeze. So if you like, I can actually pull up a chart for you guys so y'all can take a look.
Yeah, please do.
All right, let me just turn these alerts off real quick. How was your weekend, by the way?
Good. It was productive. I think you asked me that in the beginning, but it's cool. Yeah, it was good.
What did you tell me?
It was productive. I basically did my crypto research. I hang out, and it's very much weather dependent, by the way. So if it's sunny, I'm going to be doing everything outside, crypto research, speaking to clients, friends. If it's cold, windy, whatever, I'd be inside. So yeah, I've just been following developments in the crypto space.
Good deal. So how do you feel? Do you think the market is getting ready to turn around now? Do you think it needs to sell off some more? You're kind of indecisive.
I think, I mean, what is it now? Mid-October. There will be certain announcements. Remember, we're back to, they said they were going to launch in November, and then with ETF, I think they got postponed. Some of them got postponed to November the 11th, but the real one that we're waiting for, it's expected to be in February next year. But I do feel like there's going to be more announcements and more developments, and I do think that there is a possibility we could finish higher. But again, that 6,000 level is that support is so tough right now. So it'd be interesting to see what what I do feel it could go lower, but again, we have to wait and see. It's just been, it could go either which way, to be honest with you. So, but I do think with the developments coming up, it'd be interesting to see whether it would allow the market to break out of the resistance. So let's just see.
All right, so let's take a look at Bitcoin. I'm gonna show you guys two exchanges. One exchange is obviously Bitfinex. That's where all the action, if you want to call it action, was. So we've looked at this pattern for quite some time. We've seen just as a descending triangle, where we're forming lower highs and relatively same level lows. So we got to this point right here, which was setting up for a big move towards the bottom. So we can see right here where we kind of consolidated for a long time. And then, well, let's be specific. Let's not say a long time. We consolidated for about a month. And then after that month, we broke down. So this is a pretty convincing breakdown. So naturally, with a breakdown as such, most traders are looking for a retracement and then a sell-off. But the opposite happened. You had your retracement and then a radical break upwards. So by all intents and purposes, this violates the downtrend. I mean, there's no disputing that the downtrend, according to this price action, has been violated. I mean, no matter how you want to slice it, it's been violated. One thing to pay attention to is that the shorts were at almost all-time highs again. It was pretty high on Bitfinex. So the red line represents the shorts, and the green line down here represents the longs. So the thing is, the market is only going to move when it's profitable for the market makers. It's not going to move when it's profitable for us. So the shorts were again stacked really high because this was at the top of the triangle. So naturally, this is a great place to enter your shorts. And then you would have got liquidated. Even if your stop loss was here. And I'm going to tell you exactly where the stop losses would have been for people who trade on margin. Your stop loss would have been here. You would have had another stop loss over here if you was generous. And then for the people who swing trade, their stop loss would have been up here. So no matter how you sliced it, the market moved in a way in which it would have knocked you out of your stop losses, spiking easily 15%. Well, it spiked actually more than that, almost 20% if you take it from the bottom. Yeah, actually a little bit more than 20%. So no matter how you look at it, and no matter how you manage your trade or your risk, if you're swing trading this sell, you got knocked out of your position. So for those people that got in early over here at this top and they were swing trading it, expecting price to break down, 9 out of 10 times they got knocked out of their position as price spiked up to $7,700 and change. So to me, it looks like a classic short squeeze. But now we're in territory, according to Bitfinex, where you have to respect a long-term position going the opposite direction. So what that means is, if I was just looking at Bitfinex and Bitfinex alone, because we're above this red line, I have to respect this possibility where we may come down a little bit, test support, and then go back up. That's the only fair thing to do. You have to respect that possibility. Um, Alternatively, you can see it come down like this, come back up a little bit more, then sell back down and break down on Bitfinex. So there's still, so on Bitfinex, the technicals on it is neutral. To be honest, that's just what it is. It's neutral, bullish on Bitfinex, which can change quickly, almost overnight. But let's take a look at Bitcoin on Coinbase. This is pretty cool. So now we look at Coinbase, a total different story. We shot through this line and we pulled right back in. Not only do we pull right back in, we're actually pulling under the main uptrend line. If you guys look here, we have a daily uptrend right here. You can really call it right there. So we have this uptrend where price been trending upwards. So we spiked out of that, we pulled right back in. So on Coinbase, this is still a valid technical pattern. Nothing has changed, nothing has broken out. And the anticipation now would be for price to do something like this, to continue to range around in here and then to come back down. So although on Bitfinex, I think there was another exchange I was looking at, we violated that red line structure. It doesn't give me enough confidence and confluence to go long-term bullish on it. And that's just what it is. So if you're dollar cost averaging in or whatever you're doing, I could see this as a moment where you might FOMO, like you might really feel like something big is happening and you need to get ahead of the bus. And I could respect that. But just for me, I don't see a big deal in rushing into it right now. Still, I just don't see it. As of right now, that was a great pump. It took a lot of people that were shorting out of position, but I don't think that's telling us a bigger story just yet. I still think that we're still bearish. The only way Bitfinex were neutral bullish, you have to be fair. On Coinbase and other exchanges, you're pretty much still bearish. But the only way that changes for me is if we get a daily close above $7,500. That's it. So that's not the bottom. Like we get daily close above here, then yeah, I can go bullish. What I'm looking for is for price to post a higher high. That's it. We keep posting lower highs. I just want to see price post a higher high. Even if it comes back after posting that higher high, that's fine. I can get in on the pullback, but it has to post a higher high. So what that will look like for me is something like this, where we break up here, boom, we post a higher high. We can come back and even test this support level right here. After we break that higher high, we can come all the way back to even $6,800, $7,000. That's perfectly fine for me. And then I could buy Bitcoin, on that pullback. That's perfectly fine. So is 7,000 more than 6,000? Sure it is. Is 7,000 more than 5,800? Sure it is. But for me to get interested in Bitcoin again, I would need to see it post that higher high first, and then I could start dollar cost averaging in on this pullback, because there's always going to be a pullback. So we break this, make that higher high, and as this is pulling back, once I see that higher high post, now I can start dollar cost averaging in all the way through here. So we talk about dollar cost averaging. So this is how Aking risen with dollar cost average. Like all in here is where I'm dollar cost averaging, all these levels. I'm just looking for levels to dollar cost average in all the way down here. And I'm doing that in anticipation that we're going to have this move back up over here. That's what my anticipation would be. But until that actually happens, yeah, I mean, it's just a wild, wild west. Tether, I don't know what to say about Tether. I don't know if it's a scam. I don't know if it's misunderstood. I don't know what it is, but there's definitely a lot of things going on surrounding Tether. I would just, take your opinion, just, side with caution when dealing with Tether, and maybe even these other stable coins. But I'm hearing True USD is pretty legit. So, I mean, I would just, exercise, some caution when dealing with Tether, because this Tether thing has been going on for a while, as far as if they really have the money, if they don't have the money, if they have a bank account, they don't have a bank account, so it's just a lot of stuff going on with Tether. So I would just exercise a little bit caution. We've seen this before where people disappear with crypto. So There's some real FUD out there. So that's all I would say. If I'm bullish on Bitcoin, that's the play I'm looking for. A higher high to get posted, then dollar cost average on the pullback, and then let's go up with this thing. But until then, I have no reason to think we're bullish. I have until that happens, I have every reason to think that we're going to continue to break down and see lower prices. That's just my opinion. Are you there?
Yep, I'm here. Sorry, I turned off my sound so you don't hear the computer going a bit mad. So yeah, and that's BTC. What about Ripple? What's going on with Ripple
Take a look at Ripple.
in terms of price action?
You want to take Ripple on what? Binance?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, let me just okay, so Ripple, this is how let me take a look at Ripple on why is it like that? Hold on one second. That's weird. Interesting. Let me take a look at Ripple on Bitfinex. It's kind of funky on Binance. Oops. All right, there we go. That's better. All right, so on Ripple, I've been seeing this for a long time on Ripple. I think like this is the up channel on Ripple right here. So I see Ripple as a channel. This is how I see Ripple. This is the bullish channel on Ripple. So this is the uptrend, the channel that I see Ripple in. So obviously we slid into this channel right here. We slid out of it, posted the lows, and we pop back up towards the top of this channel, basically touching perfectly, and then selling back down. And if you notice, it's very I think, confluent. Let me try to make this a little bit better so it's not too sloppy. So that's how I see Ripple. So what I see with the Ripple is that we touch the top of this channel, we sold down, we touch the bottom of the channel, and now we're about to sell down again. So with Ripple, I don't see any reason to get excited about Ripple, to be honest. Let me see. Let me get some fibs out of here. Let's see what I can put together for you guys. Let me take it from here. Yeah, that's fine. Let me get my that's 0.9663. And then we're gonna do 0.24653. So with Ripple, as you can see, we bounced off this, we broke this 0.236 level. So this is what we call a bear trap. So what a bear trap is when you see when you see price break a critical level that is associated with a long-term bearish condition. So when you break the 0.236, which is also critical support over here, so this is all support for Ripple. So when we seen Ripple break that support and also the 0.236, that's confluence that Ripple's going to go to a lower price. So that's what we call a bear trap. So we bear trapped on Ripple, we pulled back up and we retested the 0.32 fib level, which is also the bottom of the main uptrend. So what I think is going to happen with Ripple is it's going to long-term sell again back down to this 24-cent level. That's what I would think Ripple's going to do at this point. The only way that changes is if Ripple breaks this 52-cent barrier. 52 cent to me is the barrier for Ripple. If Ripple regains this up channel and breaks 52 cents, then yeah, I could definitely see Ripple going back up to a higher price, back up here, at least back up to the 0.76 at 81 cents. I definitely think that's a very attractive target for it to go to. But if we continue to fail this 52-cent level, which is a high probability at this point, a higher probability at this point, yeah, then we're going to free fall back down to 24 cents because Ripple really doesn't have any support. All of this right here is really open air for Ripple. I mean, this is not, you have a little bit of support right here on Ripple, but it's really not that strong. Let me see. Maybe it is. Let me see. Let me take a look at that on Ripple. I mean, that's not too bad. No, it's not really that. You don't really have much support in that range. Kind of touches it a little bit. So yeah, I would consider that maybe medium strength support. You have a few wicks back here, so you can give it credit for that. But definitely, if that doesn't, this rejects right here, then Ripple's next target I'll put right there in that range, around that 34 cents again. And if that fails, then we're going back to 24 cents. And then it's anybody's game. I said a long time ago that Ripple's going to 25 cents and hit 25 cents. And then after 25 cents, I said it was going to 13 cents. So I'm still sticking by that. I still think Ripple's going to go back down. It has to sell off again and see some lower prices. So yeah, I mean, if you were able to catch this pump and get in this, that's a great time for Ripple and Ripple holders. But the only way that I could see this really turning around is if we get above 52 cents and going bullish that way. Otherwise, it's just a much more attractive move downwards that I see. What else?
How about what was I going to say? Oh, Batcoin. BAT attention, basic attention token.
Let's look at BAT in the BTC market. Do you guys mind?
Nope.
I think that was a more interesting move. Yeah, okay. So, crap. All right, so give me 1 second, guys.
Okay. Guys, I'm just going to continue with, I did have more to cover actually, so while Aking, he'll be back. So I wanted to also mention that the Senate Banking Committee, they did have a meeting on Thursday, and they discussed cryptos and blockchain and how they should regulate the space, whether in fact they should regulate this space. So it was interesting to see the back and forth, people discussing the pros and cons, and it was really clear to see that some people, so some of those members didn't fully understand, didn't grasp the potential of it, and others, some of them being naysayers, but some of them saw the real transformational potential and the opportunities that would help. So, and if you remember, just a few weeks ago, the House law, the lawmakers in the House, they did announce that there would be a Congressional blockchain caucus on this. So they also had a roundtable with business leaders, how to literally regulate the space, and how they're going to go and bring leaders together to you know, make this on a collaborative basis. But you know, this is something which has to, the US government, the authorities have to here's my opinion. So I feel, to stifle innovation and technology, if you over-regulate it, or remember the purpose, the beginning of this journey, it was literally to get away from the government, from the financial fat cats, and from the matrix, and regulation in a way is a double-edged sword. I can understand why certain investors would want that security, that transparency, and so on. But again, with the lawmakers' decidedness in terms of the future of cryptos, and where this is going, and how, you know, there may be a shift in power, and citizens gaining more authority over their finance, over their investments, and so on. And remember, they're heavily lobbied by the financial market, by the financial markets, by the financial industry, by major industries that may feel threatened by this new technology if they don't embrace it. So it'd be interesting to see, also politically speaking as well. at some point. There has been actually, I think there was one in West Virginia that were trialing the use of blockchain for overseas military personnel. So I can see how at some point, in terms of politics, I know you guys use the Electoral College. Some people feel that that's outdated, and also with disenfranchisements of voters, and the concern with electoral fraud as well, with the benefits and advantages, the transparency, the immutability, sensor resistant features of the blockchain. That is something where especially with something as important as your votes, blockchain can serve a useful purpose for this. So it'd be interesting to see how this will come about, how this will change how we go about our daily lives, and with major cyclical developments that we have. So when you guys are choosing your presidents once every 4 years, and when you have your midterm elections, just like the one coming up in the next few weeks, and so on, that the next time when this technology has truly taken another leap into the future, and allows people to understand and get educated around this, there will be a lot more happening at all levels, regardless of the industry, regardless of the stakeholders. So everything will be even more intertwined, more interconnected. And the real goal is to, the true believers in this space, the real goal is really to shift power from the elite to the average Joe, or the average investor. And so it will be interesting to see how Congress and Senate they are able to see if they understand the benefits, the costs and the benefits of having so much power, so much understanding and knowledge of this space, and also they have to serve the citizens, the people that put them into power. So this is something where it'd be interesting to see how they balance different interests as well as their own. So yeah, and I do feel with the Senate Banking Committee, there was actually Nouriel Roubini who participated in that, and he's, as I mentioned before, he is an economist that predicted the financial crisis of 2008, so he's got a bit of credibility, but he's been a vocal critic of blockchain, calling it a global glorified database, and calling cryptos a scam. But there's been other economists that have come out, and funnily enough, those initial detractors of and naysayers of Bitcoin, cryptos and blockchain, they came into they later on changed their mind, and if they didn't change their mind, some of them were found out to have filed blockchain patents. So or shown some sort of interest in the blockchain technology. So, do see this for what it is, but again, rely on your own research, as well as the research of the community, and looking at what they're doing rather than saying. So it's just every different stakeholders have different vested interests. You really got to see what they're doing, and what they're about. And so they do believe, some of them did put a very powerful argument on the floor with the Senate, that the ability to transform the blockchain technology ability to transform lives, despite all of the negative press, the FUD that's been out there, they do feel that it may be revolutionary in some cases, but they don't like they're not saying it in public, but if you read between the lines, what they're really saying is that we're not going to go against the will of we're not going to be seen to go against the will of the people, or come across as when trying to limit your power and control your life. And that's why you're going to be hearing a lot about, oh, we want to protect you, we care about you, we want to serve you. So you have to see what the language they use, the logic they apply to their arguments, and also whether they're really about what they say that they're going to do as well. With politicians, they don't really have a good a good history with that. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see this time, what is it, with the next election, what is it, 2020, you guys get to choose whether you want to keep Trump or not. It'd be fascinating to see if it would, he or the Senate or Congress would allow voting to some, there would be some sort of integration with a blockchain, or something could be used to help verify or allow voters to have more confidence and transparency and so on. And so yeah, they've been going back and forth, arguing. They looked at the benefits and risks of cryptocurrencies, and it was the second of these meetings that they held. And yeah, in particular, they're looking to see how they can come up with anti-money laundering policies, because they have noticed that a percentage of that is being used in cryptos. So yeah, they are looking at both sides of the story, both sides of the argument, and understand. They do state in official terms that they're looking to understand the opportunities and challenges surrounding the blockchain ecosystem and cryptos, and to make a case to make a case for having some sort of legislative roadmap, and having clarity for people so they know what to do, what not to do. And so, yeah, that direction would be important to some people that care about what the government thinks and what they're planning to do. But to some people, they're just going to go about their business regardless, and trade with caution, or invest with caution, hold with caution, and do their own due diligence, and hold their own private keys, and literally take full responsibility for their funds, for their money, for their tokens and so on. And that is closer, that's more aligned to the true values of this space than having government or financial institutions having to take care of your own cryptos, which to me, I feel defeats the whole point, is to try and diversify and get away from that to a certain extent. But there are some people that argue this, that they are not comfortable with the Wild West. They still see it as a Wild West situation, environment and frontier, and they still want to see more infrastructure and development and more adoption in this space before they are wanting to go in full flow. So yeah, so they're working on that. They're discussing that, and it'll be fascinating to see what Trump's administration will how they perceive this, and how they will act upon it as well in the years to come. That is, if they survive up until 2020 and 2024 and so on. So yeah, it will be interesting to see. And then with art houses, what was fascinating is that I don't know if you guys follow art or you're interested in art, but sorry, I did get notification. So Christie's is an auction house that they've started using. They've turned to blockchain technology to secure and store basically data regarding the artwork and sales history, and they've noted the advantages of the space, and they're quite historic. I mean, going back to the 1700s. And they're going to have digital art registry, and it's called Artory. IRTORY, and they're piloting encrypted recording of auction transactions. So and they're going to use titles, a description, final price, date, and they will provide a digital certificate as well of the transaction, and each buyer does get a registration card as well to access that encrypted information about their purchased artwork. Now you have to, guys, you must have an idea of the, you know, literally hundreds of thousands, millions, tens of millions, even hundreds of millions. You know, you hear it's now got to a point where you have rappers talking about their Picassos and so on. They, you know, it is a status symbol. So imagine buying a piece of art and you're still using an older system, and something goes wrong. You know, you spend a lot of your hard-earned money on it. So the fact that they're now using seeing the benefits of blockchain and applying it to the art world, it's actually a perfect fit for them, because verification, wow, verification, that's that's one of the key aspects of determining the value of the art. You have to find a way to verify that is real, that is not fake, it's not counterfeit. So the blockchain, with its many advantages, such as its immutability, which means no one can tamper and change with it once it's there, it's perfect for this industry in particular. So yeah, and I can see how their competitors, I think Sotheby's is competitors to Christie's, they're at some point, just to keep up with them, they'd probably issue their own version as well with their own project. And yeah, security and verification is so important, and I'm glad that they're on board. And it just definitely gives another, it does lend credence, and it does give another stamp of approval to the technology. It does raise confidence, so that's good. So regardless of where we are in the market right now, these developments with different stakeholders making moves, and different businesses and so on, seeing the real benefits of this space and applying it to how they see fit. So, you know, just to give you an idea, the Christie's does something like 350 auctions every year, and they handle something like $4 billion worth of artwork, and I think that was just in the first half of this year. So you know, that's crazy. So if you like your Andy, you know, when you've made your crypto, I'm praying for you guys, when you've made your crypto wealth, and you want to buy, if you're an art lover, you want to buy Andy Warhol's piece, 14 Small Electric Cars, for example, or anything that you fancy. Yeah, so you know, you can have that tokenized and sold on the blockchain if you wanted to, with using an Ethereum smart contract. You know, you can do pretty much anything that you want once you have the ability to buy and sell your art pieces using the blockchain. So I think that's amazing. And also, I have to, guys, I need to warn you in regards to, I don't know how many guys have downloaded Adobe before. So, you know, when you need to update your Flash, and you get these updates to do that. You know, Adobe PDF, Adobe Photoshop, it's quite a big brand. So there's these fake Flash updates that are happening, and they installing cryptojacking malware in it. There was a report with that came out saying that researchers and experts are warning people now that these criminals are now using, check this out, they're using fake Flash updates to install Monero miners on users' computers. And so, but here's the thing here, this is why it's baffled people, that it also downloads Flash. It actually downloads the real thing too. for you to update your flash. So the fact that it's hiding beneath this, and it's, if you notice that your computer's acting slow, performance is not good, it keeps crashing, definitely do a full scan, a full check, and just see if you do, if you have recently downloaded or updated Flash on your laptop or phone or any device. It's so important to check. That could be, that may well be the reason. Could be something else, but that could be it. And it's very, very sneaky, very stealthy, and they're getting creative. Like they're trying to, people, they know that people have antivirus softwares, and they're getting smart to what they shouldn't do, taking preventative measures. But the fact that they're using genuine products, when you download genuine products and updates, and finding a way to hide these miners, you know, to be able to then mine Monero or any other crypto and send it back to the wallet that they have programmed. It's you know, it's madness. So just, you know, have a be on the lookout, especially if your computer's performance is slower than usual after you've updated something. Just be on the lookout for that, not just with Flash updates, but any particular updates that you do on your computer. So yeah, crypto jacking is basically using someone else's CPU computer resources to mine cryptos without your knowledge. So yeah, just be careful, be very careful with your downloads, and have everything up to date. Do your spring clean. I did mention this actually a couple of weeks before. Make sure you spring clean your PC, laptop, and make sure you have everything up to date, that you don't have your crypto stored on a hot wallet, which is a wallet connected to the internet. Make sure it's cold storage on a Trezor, Ledger, Keep Key, and have that separate, and make sure your passwords and so on are extremely hard to crack, and you have that kept safe, and not use multiple passwords in different the same password in multiple places and so on. So it's just using your common sense, but just be on the lookout that there are vicious people out there trying to find devious ways to get your crypto, but don't be scared by it. Don't be moving in fear. It's just the nature of this space, and just do your due diligence, and not do your due diligence, but do take preventative measures in terms of security, and you can sleep like a baby. So that is pretty much it for today. And I'm just gonna see, Aking, are you back?
Yes, ma'am.
Cool. So was there anything else you wanted to mention, or that's it?
Today we're out of time. I'm sure everybody's working and stuff like that. So maybe next time we'll get more into other stuff and look at some more. But thank you a million for all the information, the updates. Useful, informative as always.
Okay, perfect. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you. Have a great week.
The best.